Right now, most people believe they understand preparation. They have food stored, water, security. But security built on assumption is not security at all. It's an illusion waiting to collapse. The supply chains delivering products today are experiencing cascading failures almost nobody discusses directly. Distribution margins compress. Suppliers consolidate. Retail chains reduce inventory SKUs strategically. By the time this becomes obvious, items will already be disappearing. These aren't predictions. They're distribution patterns visible in corporate decisions made months ago. Some items cost under $1. Most are on shelves right now. Almost none appear on standard preparedness lists. That gap between what's actually important and what people think matters is the difference between a pantry that works and one that fails quietly. Let's count down. Number 30, canned evaporated milk. Evaporated milk sits largely undisturbed while alternatives move constantly. Most people confuse it with condensed milk, a fundamental misunderstanding that explains why it's being phased out. Evaporated milk is unsweetened with 60% water removed. Condensed milk is heavily sweetened, completely different products, completely different purposes. When refrigeration fails, every refrigerated dairy product becomes useless within 4 to 6 hours. Evaporated milk doesn't have this problem. The canning process preserves it. Room temperature. 24-month shelf life minimum. Open a can, add equal parts water, and you have full cream milk. Protein density per dollar substantially exceeds shelf-stable alternatives. Professional chefs use this technique: chill the unopened can in cold water for 30 minutes. Open carefully. Whip vigorously for 2 to 3 minutes. The fat emulsifies into cream substitute that performs identically to whipped cream in most applications. A single can costs under $2. Practical takeaway: 14 to 16 cans minimum. Cool, dark storage. Number 29, canned chickpeas. The canned bean aisle appears uniformly stocked. That appearance deceives. Not all beans are managed equally. Black, kidney, and pinto beans turn faster. Chickpeas sit longer, generating lower velocity in retailer systems. In shelf space economics, slower velocity means reduced presence. Faster moving products occupy premium space. Slower movers face SKU reductions. Chickpeas contain significant resistant starch carbohydrate that bypasses small intestine digestion and reaches the colon intact, feeding beneficial bacteria. Published research consistently links resistant starch to improved satiety and reduced blood glucose spikes. When eating exclusively from shelf-stable sources, this effect becomes practically significant. You feel fuller. You avoid energy crashes. Practical application: drain thoroughly. Toss with olive oil and salt. Roast at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. They become crispy, nutty, deeply satisfying. Alternative: blend drained chickpeas with olive oil, garlic, lemon juice. Hummus for under $1.50. No special equipment required. Fork and bowl produce acceptable consistency. A 15-ounce can runs under $1.50. Once consolidation occurs, alternatives cost $3.50 to $4. Practical takeaway: 24 to 28 cans minimum. Varied brands. Sealed, cool storage. Number 28, canned mackerel in olive oil. Mackerel sits almost completely undisturbed on bottom shelves while tuna above shows regular gaps. This isn't quality difference, it's familiarity gap closing as suppliers consolidate and chains reduce orders. Mackerel contains more omega-3 per serving than canned salmon. More complete protein per ounce than canned tuna. Costs approximately $1.50 versus $5 for salmon and $2.50 for tuna alternatives. You're looking at substantially superior nutrition at fraction of cost being removed from distribution, not because it's inferior but because it's unpopular. Popularity and nutritional value aren't identical. Buy versions packed in olive oil specifically. Not brine, water, or tomato sauce. Olive oil preserves flavor, adds caloric density and texture, eliminates metallic flavor that turns people off canned fish permanently. The oil isn't waste. It's concentrated nutrients and caloric value vehicle for flavor development. Use it with the fish. A 120-gram can contains roughly 20 to 25 grams complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids, plus omega-3 for cardiovascular and neurological support. Practical takeaway: 20 to 24 cans minimum. Oil packed exclusively. Rotate into regular meals now so flavor becomes familiar before relying on them. Number 27, canned sardines in olive oil. Hold dismissal for 60 seconds. The reaction most people have to sardines is visceral, rooted in childhood experience or memory of something that smelled wrong. Sardines naturally contain vitamin D3, omega-3 long-chain forms, and highly bioavailable calcium simultaneously in single serving. This combination appears in NIH dietary reference data and USDA food composition analysis. It's not marketing, it's measured fact. Vitamin D3 found naturally in sardines is absorbed more efficiently than D2 from plant supplements. The calcium in sardines, soft bones fully incorporated, absorbs more effectively than calcium carbonate in most tablets. The bones aren't product flaw. They're the point. The difference between tin of fish and complete nutritional solution. Never discard them. The omega-3 content rivals most fish oil capsules at cost under $2 per tin. No preparation required. No heat. No added water. One can supplements 2 to 3 meals. Mix into rice. Add to soup or stew. Serve on crackers with canned vegetables. Integrates into virtually any preparation without disrupting flavor. 2 tins per week, mackerel one day, sardines later, covers complete weekly omega-3 requirement, daily vitamin D requirement, calcium needs, and 44 plus grams complete protein. Total cost under $4. That nutritional density doesn't exist elsewhere at any price point. Practical takeaway, 28 to 32 cans minimum. Olive oil packed exclusively. Number 26, shelf-stable aseptic tofu. Dismissal is automatic. It costs people something nutritionally specific nothing else at this price and shelf life combination can replace. Aseptic packaged tofu, small, shelf-stable rectangular cartons under brands like Morinu uses ultra-high temperature processing and sealed multi-layer packages to achieve 12-month plus shelf life at room temperature. This isn't refrigerated block from produce section. Completely different product sitting in international foods aisle or health food section, unrefrigerated. Complete proteins containing all 9 essential amino acids in adequate proportions are relatively rare in shelf-stable form. Most shelf-stable complete proteins are animal products. For households managing vegetarian diets by choice, food allergies eliminating animal products, or religious restrictions prohibiting certain sources, aseptic tofu is one of only handful of shelf-stable complete protein sources requiring no refrigeration and no cooking. Mainstream chains systematically shift aseptic tofu toward specialty sections with reduced SKU counts. It's becoming harder to find and when it disappears, alternatives, if they exist, will cost more. Preparation surprises almost everyone, take silken variety carton. Blend directly into canned soup. Becomes completely invisible. Soup becomes creamy and rich. Protein content doubles. Flavor unchanged. No detectable taste difference. One package around $1.89 delivers 10 grams complete protein with 12 months shelf life at room temperature. That nutritional math doesn't exist elsewhere at that price. Practical takeaway, 12 to 16 cartons minimum. Silken variety preferred. Test one in soup before full reliance. Number 25, canned jackfruit in brine. Establish one critical distinction, 2 different jackfruit versions exist and are nothing alike. Jackfruit in syrup is dessert product, sweet, high sugar, irrelevant. Don't buy that. Jackfruit in brine is unripe fruit packed in salted water. No added sugar. Minimal calories. Dense, fibrous texture that when pulled apart resembles shredded meat in most cooking applications. It's the only fruit in standard grocery store behaving functionally like shredded protein food. No special processing beyond canning. No additives beyond salt and water. No refrigeration required. 12 to 18 month shelf life minimum. For households managing food budgets tightly, vegetarian diets by choice or necessity, or anyone extending protein meals across more people, this product has no direct equivalent on grocery shelves. Southeast Asian import disruptions and logistics costs led chains to reduce canned jackfruit inventory significantly. Some moved it to clearance sections as early as late 2023. Others continuously reduced SKU counts through 2024. It's caught at intersection of import cost pressure and mainstream unfamiliarity. It moves slowly because most shoppers never cooked with it and content never explained it. That window is open right now. Preparation makes it immediately accessible, drain completely. Rinse. Pull apart with fork, shreds in 30 seconds into pulled chicken or pork-like texture. Add tablespoon tomato paste. Add spoonful canned green chilies. Mix thoroughly. Complete meal preparation. No cooking. Under 3 minutes total. Combination across 3 cans costs approximately $4, produces filling, texturally satisfying meal that doesn't eat like standard shelf-stable food. Experience differs fundamentally from plain beans or grains. Current price under $3 per can. Availability at mainstream chains already declining in major metropolitan areas. Practical takeaway, 12 to 15 cans minimum. Brine packed exclusively. Test one before committing larger quantities. Number 24, pure canned pumpkin. Critical mistake, grabbing pumpkin pie filling instead of pure puree. Single error makes entire item useless. Read labels carefully. Pie filling contains sugar, spices, sodium, additives. Pure puree contains only pumpkin. 1 cup pure canned pumpkin contains 245% daily value vitamin A as beta-carotene, one of most potent dietary antioxidants available in whole food form. More beta-carotene per cup than fresh carrots. More fiber per cup than oatmeal bowl. All at 83 calories per serving. Beats most dedicated health products at fraction of cost. Culinary neutrality is equally underrated. Pumpkin has almost no assertive flavor. Mixed into chile, it extends pot substantially without changing taste. Stirred into pasta sauce, it adds body and vitamin density completely undetectable to anyone eating it. Digestive benefit is significant. Dense shelf-stable foods cause digestive slowdown and discomfort when consumed exclusively. Pumpkin fiber restores digestive motility gently and gradually, exactly what stressed digestive system needs. not dramatic intervention. Baseline maintenance. A 15-ounce can costs around $1.29 in most chains. Once market shifts and store brands consolidate, organic alternatives fill space at $3.50 to $4 per can. Buying now means current pricing without crowds. Practical takeaway, 18 to 24 cans minimum. Pure puree only, check label carefully every time. Mix into preparations rather than eating alone. Number 23, canned green chilies. This one sounds too simple, that's exactly why most people miss it. Two large grocery chains cutting green chili SKUs in 2024, redirecting shelf space to salsa and higher margin products. Once store brands disappear, name brand alternatives cost $2.50 plus for exact same product. But it's not primarily budget story, it's morale story. Almost no preparedness content takes morale seriously as functional resource. Military nutrition research and disaster psychology consistently show same pattern repeating, physical resources deplete slowly. Morale collapses faster. Primary driver of morale collapse is food fatigue. After 2 weeks of repeated similar meals, appetite decreases voluntarily even when food available. Decision-making becomes less rational. Green chilies as functional tool, capsaicin compounds create heat, triggers documented endorphin response. Small amount creates measurable mood shift through neurological pathway operating independently of psychological expectation or placebo. It changes structure of meal nothing. It changes how brain responds to eating at fundamental neurochemical level. Single 4-ounce can costs 89 cents, delivers 45% daily vitamin C, toss into scrambled eggs. Stir into rice. Add to soup or stew. The flavor integrates seamlessly. 12 cans cost under $11 total. Morale supply lasting years. Practical takeaway, 24 to 30 cans minimum. Under $20 total investment. This is morale insurance. Number 22, full-fat Thai and Vietnamese coconut milk. Full-fat coconut milk from Southeast Asian brands is categorically different from domestic alternatives replacing it on retail shelves. Not different branding. Not different packaging design. Different composition. Actual, measurable, significant composition difference. Authentic Thai and Vietnamese coconut milk carries 14 to 17 grams fat per serving. Many domestic brands moving into that shelf space carry roughly half, 7 to 9 grams. Label looks similar. Price comparable. But contents not same product. Reason is pure import economics. Tariff adjustments and thin margins make it commercially difficult for chains to maintain contracts at required volumes. Domestic producers fill void. Fat content difference matters beyond taste. Full-fat coconut milk is one of richest medium-chain triglyceride sources available. Unlike most dietary fats, MCTs processed directly by liver into energy, not stored in adipose tissue. Research notes consistent associations between MCT consumption and improved cognitive performance during caloric stress. Your brain functions better on quality fat. That's documented biochemistry. Identify real product, check fat grams per serving. Below 12 grams diluted. 14 to 17 grams means authentic version. Verification takes 3 seconds. At Asian grocery stores, under $2. At mainstream chains, $2.50. Both moving toward exit as retailers finalize transitions. Practical takeaway, 14 to 18 cans minimum. Check fat content, 14 to 17 grams required. Asian markets better sourcing and pricing. Number 21, canned coconut cream. Critical distinction, canned coconut cream is not coconut milk. Coconut cream is thick, dense, high fat. Coconut milk diluted, water-based. Refrigerated aisle carton something else entirely, filled with stabilizers, fraction of fat in quality can. Distribution contacts indicate major chains significantly reducing coconut cream SKU counts in 2024. Ships higher cost per unit. Turns over more slowly. Occupies valuable shelf space allocated to faster moving products. Removal matters, fat not optional in human diet. It's how brain functions under stress, how cells repair during physical damage. When regular grocery shopping disrupted, fat category disappears first. Butter goes first. Dairy follows. Oils move with them. Coconut cream gives dense shelf-stable fat source with multi-year shelf life at room temperature. 1 can contains roughly 445 calories, predominantly fat. Lauric acid, one of most bioavailable dietary fat forms available. That nutritional profile has no real equivalent at that price and shelf life combination. Can currently costs around $2.79. Once SKUs cut, diluted alternatives take space at higher price. Practical takeaway, 12 to 16 cans. Store cool dark location. Test in cooking now. Number 20, powdered eggs. Fresh eggs are among most nutritionally complete foods anywhere. Complete protein. Essential fatty acids. Fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K, choline for neurological function. In normal life, eggs appear in more meals than most people realize, invisible protein infrastructure of countless recipes. Power outage lasting more than few days renders fresh egg supply finished. Without refrigeration, fresh eggs at room temperature stay safe roughly 2 to 3 weeks under ideal conditions. In warm or fluctuating temperatures, window compresses dramatically. Powdered eggs close gap completely. Spray drying process removes moisture while preserving nutritional content. They remain viable in sealed, oxygen-removed containers for 5 to 10 years or longer depending on storage conditions. Measured powder plus water produces liquid egg mixture functioning equivalently to beaten fresh eggs in virtually every application. Scrambled in pan. Stirred into soup. Used as binding in flatbreads and pancakes. For households with children, specific operational reason matters. Under stress, children retreat to familiar foods. Scrambled eggs. Egg-enriched pancakes. Egg-based porridge. These are known, accepted, comfortable meals from normal times. Ability to prepare them from powder provides nutrition and psychological weight of normal meal when nothing else feels normal. Practical takeaway, 2 containers minimum. Store with oxygen absorbers in cool location. Test 1 package in cooking before full reliance. Number 19, canned tuna in water. Most survival guides treat cognitive function as secondary. That's wrong operational order. Decisions you make during disruption about resource use, movement, risk assessment determine outcomes more directly than caloric intake alone. Decision quality depends on brain function. Brain function depends on specific nutritional inputs most canned foods don't provide. Most canned foods maintain body. Canned tuna does something specific. Supports brain. Concentrated omega-3 source, specifically DHA and EPA long-chain forms human brain uses for cell membrane structure and neurotransmitter function. Deficit in these doesn't produce dramatic symptoms. Produces something far more insidious. Gradual cognitive degradation. Slower processing. Reduced working memory. Impaired decision-making under pressure. Under normal conditions, deficit takes weeks noticing. Under sustained stress, timeline compresses significantly. Link between omega-3 status and cognitive performance is among more consistently documented nutritional findings across research groups. No preparation required. No heat. No added water. One can supplements 2 to 3 meals. Water-packed tuna offers more versatility across preparations. Use tuna deliberately, not continuously. Rotate in as targeted cognitive support rather than daily staple. That's how you get consistent benefit without burning through supply unnecessarily. Practical takeaway, 14 to 18 cans. Water-packed exclusively. Rotate deliberately for cognitive support. Number 18, canned chicken. Around day 3 to 4 eating exclusively from emergency supplies, something specific happens that almost no guide accounts for. Isn't hunger. Isn't exhaustion. It's absence of meat. Not protein as macronutrient. Actual, physical, neurological experience of eating meat, texture, resistance, chewing through something with real substance. Soft foods satisfy caloric needs. They don't satisfy neurological expectations built into human eating behavior. That absence doesn't register as caloric deficiency. It registers as psychological one. That gap affects behavior, including skipping meals and declining morale. Canned chicken resolves this without refrigeration, without heat, without preparation beyond opening. Standard can provides 40 to 50 grams complete protein. Under elevated physical demand and poor recovery, muscle loss begins within days, not weeks. Adequate protein intake slows process during exactly period when physical capacity matters most. Canned chicken functions as multiplier. Mixed into rice, protein complete meal. Added to soup, substantially higher nutritional density. Combined with canned tomatoes and beans, complete dish. Elevates almost everything it goes into. Practical takeaway, 14 to 18 cans. Water-packed formulations preferred. Once opened, consume full can or transfer to sealed container and use immediately. Protein is resource you can't afford to waste. Number 17, canned beans, variety. Beans combine complex carbohydrates with plant protein in proportions producing slower, sustained energy release than refined carbohydrates or sugar. One serving meaningfully extends meal interval in ways that matter practically. Over several consecutive days limited food availability, that extension compounds in ways genuinely affecting physical capacity. Comparison to dried beans comes up often. Dried beans are cheaper per calorie accurate. But they require 8 to 12 hours soaking, significant water quantities, and consistent fuel source cooking safely. Under disrupted conditions, those requirements frequently can't be met. Canned beans carry none of those conditions. Open, eat. Done. One detail almost everyone gets wrong, the liquid inside can. Most people pour straight down drain automatically. That liquid contains soluble minerals and electrolytes leached from beans during canning. Add to soup, drink directly, or incorporate into preparation. Nutrients recovered at zero extra cost. Rotate across types: black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, lentils. Nutritionally similar, but variety prevents food fatigue that quietly reduces actual caloric intake after few days. Practical takeaway, 36 to 42 cans total. Mix varieties. Never discard liquid. Number 16, canned chile. Most survival lists never talk directly about this problem. Most individual canned foods only solve part of nutritional equation. Beans give protein and carbs but no fat. Vegetables give micronutrients but no sustained energy. Almost everything on survival shelf needs combining with something else, becoming real meal. Combining requires thought, energy, resources, all in short supply after few days. Canned chili is one of only real exceptions. Single can contains protein from meat, complex carbs from beans, fat from meat component, and enough flavor actually maintaining appetite. That's 400 to 600 calories per can. One container. One complete meal. Nothing else required. Second reason chili ranks high has nothing to do with nutrition label. Around day 3, appetite starts deteriorating. Not because food unavailable but because bland, repetitive, texturally flat meals stop triggering appetite response properly. People shift from eating to sustain to eating just to survive. Shift has real physiological consequences. Caloric intake drops. Energy drops. Cognitive function drops with it. Chili interrupts pattern. Texture. Flavor. Component combination. Brain registers it as actual meal. That matters more than calorie count label. Practical takeaway, 14 to 18 cans. Pull tab lid versions preferred. Without can opener, standard lid makes complete meal completely inaccessible. Number 15, canned tomatoes, multiple formats. By day 3 eating from stockpile, problem most people run into isn't shortage. It's refusal. Brain's appetite regulation system depends on sensory variety. When every meal looks, smells, tastes same texture, same salt profile, same flat brightness, absence, appetite signal weakens noticeably. Eating stops being automatic. Becomes act of willpower. Under sustained stress, willpower isn't renewable resource. Acidity is primary trigger for saliva production and appetite stimulation. Adding diced or crushed canned tomatoes to flat bean or rice preparation fundamentally changes sensory experience of meal. Sounds minor. Across several consecutive days, it's what keeps caloric intake from declining to levels affecting physical and cognitive performance negatively. Canning process increases lycopene bioavailability, compound with antioxidant properties relevant to immune function under physical stress. Storing multiple formats multiplies functional range. Crushed for sauces. Diced for stews. Paste for concentrated flavor in minimal quantities. Maximum efficiency. Minimal footprint. Canned tomatoes don't replace anything else on this list. They make everything else on this list edible for longer. Practical takeaway, varied formats. 12 to 18 cans total. Number 14, instant mashed potatoes. Cardboard canister. Utilitarian label. Not exactly inspiring. But what it represents in real emergency is something most people never think through until standing in kitchen with no power, limited fuel, hungry people waiting for meals. Most emergencies degrade cooking infrastructure. Electric stoves go dark. Propane runs out faster than expected. Any food requiring 30 to 45 minutes simmering stops being solution and becomes liability, eating precious fuel. Instant mashed potatoes need hot water in few minutes. That's complete requirement. Potato flakes aren't just quick side dish. Function as instant thickening agent for thin soups and stews. Work in flatbread dough as partial flour substitute. Coat pan-fried foods. One ingredient, multiple applications. Most people only ever used it one way. Nutritionally, potatoes provide potassium, vitamin C, vitamin B6, dietary fiber. Dehydration process retains significant portion of nutrients despite processing. Commercially sealed, they hold quality anywhere between 5 to 25 years depending on packaging and storage conditions. Practical takeaway, 4 to 6 boxes. Sealed airtight containers. Treat as multi-tool, not just side dish. Number 13, bouillon cubes. Most people think flavor, nice extra, not essential. Change how you see that completely. Picture household on day 10 actually living off emergency supply. Calories covered. Nobody going hungry. Everything right on paper. But something quiet is happening that most guides never warn about. Monotony. Builds day after day. Same plain rice. Same plain beans. Same flat meals. Before anyone realizes, it starts affecting mood. People pick at food. Patience shortens. Energy required staying calm starts quietly draining. Not just comfort problem. It's functional one. One bouillon cube addresses directly. Drop into hot water and you have instant broth. Smell alone shifts something. Warm, savory aroma signals brain that real meal is coming. Plain rice becomes intentional. Beans become soup. But here's what most people miss. Bouillon contributes sodium and minerals. During high stress or high activity situations, electrolyte balance is genuine physiological concern, not just comfort issue. This is why bouillon is included in military field rations for decades. Storage nearly ideal. Fully dehydrated. Individually wrapped. Extremely compact. Inexpensive. Move cubes out of cardboard immediately. It absorbs moisture. Sealed mason jar with silica gel packet is all it takes. Practical takeaway: 1 full box minimum. Store in sealed mason jar with silica gel packet. Use deliberately, breaking monotony. Number 12, dried spices. Flavor management in emergency isn't luxury. It's functional necessity. Human appetite strongly driven by sensory response. When food smells appealing and has variety, people eat enough. When monotonous and flat, appetite suppresses even when body's caloric need objectively high. Military nutrition researchers treat meal variety as operational priority. Dried spices are most compact and cost-effective tool solving that problem. Small jar garlic powder, around 80 grams, seasons dozens individual meals. Weighs almost nothing. Same true of black pepper, cumin, paprika, turmeric. Zero added storage footprint but completely redirect dish flavor. One detail most people miss. Dried spices don't spoil but they fade. Aromatic compounds creating flavor degrade when exposed to air, heat, light. Pre-ground spices in clear jar on sunlit counter lose potency every single day. Whole spices, seeds ground just before use, hold strength dramatically longer. Airtight glass jars, cool dark storage. Under those conditions, most dried spices stay fully effective for 3 to 5 years or longer. Practical takeaway: if only choosing 3 based on versatility, answer is garlic powder, black pepper, cumin. Those 3 create meaningful variation across more meal combinations than almost any other trio. Number 11, canned sardines in olive oil. Every item on this list functions best when it has something to work with. Spices need something to season. Fat needs something to enrich. Complete proteins need carbohydrate base. Sardines provide complete solution independently. Practical takeaway: 28 to 32 cans minimum. Number 10, nutritional yeast. Looks like absolutely nothing. Small pale yellow powder flakes. Most people never encountered it, have no idea what to make of it. Yet it quietly solves problem most emergency food plans never identify. First few emergency days are about caloric survival. Carbohydrates, protein. Most people plan that reasonably well. But when emergency stretches beyond week, something else starts happening. Micronutrient depletion. Diet built primarily on grains and legumes severely deficient in B vitamins. Specifically, B12, B6, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. These drive energy metabolism, neurological function, immune maintenance. When they run low, fatigue increases, cognitive clarity drops, mood deteriorates. Most people blame stress or poor sleep, never knowing its nutritional gap quietly built into food supply from start. Nutritional yeast doesn't taste like supplement. Tastes like mild-aged cheese. Rich, savory, slightly salty. Sprinkled onto hot rice, stirred into soup, mixed into porridge, it makes food noticeably better while simultaneously delivering complete B vitamin complex, plant-based protein, trace minerals including zinc and selenium. 2 completely separate jobs. 1 lightweight, inexpensive ingredient. Practical takeaway: 1 canister. Inexpensive. Takes almost no space. Closes nutritional gap most emergency plans leave wide open. Number 9, popcorn kernels. This genuinely surprises people. When most think popcorn, think microwave bags and movie nights. Nothing suggests emergency food. That disconnect is exactly why popcorn kernels are most overlooked and most genuinely useful items in any long-term food supply. Storage fact most never heard: dried corn, properly sealed and protected from moisture, maintains ability to pop for decades. Researchers recovered ancient dried corn kernels from archaeological sites that still retained ability. Few food products make that claim. But shelf life is only beginning. Obvious application: covered pot, any heat source, high-volume carbohydrate food ready in minutes with no electricity, just start. Kernels can also be ground into coarse cornmeal and cooked into thick porridge, similar to polenta. 1 compact, inexpensive ingredient supporting 2 completely different meal types. One more dimension: popcorn universally associated with comfort and normalcy. During emergency where nearly everything familiar broken down, bowl of popcorn is small but genuine moment of everyday life. Research on disaster psychology consistently finds familiar comfort foods have measurable positive effects on morale, particularly for children. Practical takeaway: 1 large kernel bag. Store in sealed containers. Popcorn when morale needs it. Cornmeal when something substantial needed. Number 8, canned lentil soup. Most dried beans carry preparation problem only becoming obvious when conditions deteriorate. Kidney beans, black beans, chickpeas all require 8 to 12 hours soaking before cooking. Then another 1 to 2 hours active boiling reaching edibility. Normal life, inconvenience. Cooking fuel ration situation, burden repeats with every single meal across entire emergency duration. Canned lentil soup sidesteps entirely. No soaking required. No preparation beyond opening. Open, heat briefly if fuel available, eat. 1 cooked cup provides approximately 18 grams protein, substantial dietary fiber, iron, folate, potassium, complex carbohydrates. Vegetable and lentil combination in 1 can means meal already balanced. When lentils pair with any grain, rice, wheat, corn, amino acid profiles complement each other forming complete protein. This combination appears independently across dozens cultures on every inhabited continent throughout thousands of human history. That repetition is evidence of something that genuinely works. Practical takeaway: 10 to 14 cans. Fuel-efficient meals with complete nutrition. Number 7, canned artichoke hearts. Most stockpile lists focus almost entirely on calories and protein, ignoring micronutrient infrastructure keeping immune systems, mood regulation, cognitive clarity functioning. Artichoke hearts are dense in inulin, prebiotic fiber feeding beneficial gut bacteria. Also rich in antioxidants, particularly in processed form where heat increases bioavailability. One medium artichoke heart contains meaningful quantities vitamin C, vitamin K, folate, magnesium. All nutrients supporting immune function under stress. Fiber content aids digestive function and satiety. When eating shelf-stable foods exclusively, that combination matters most. Realize. Artichoke hearts eaten directly from can, added to rice, incorporated into any soup or stew. Don't require cooking or preparation. Flavor mild, almost nutty, integrating into most meal combinations without disrupting other flavors. Practical takeaway: 8 to 12 cans. Packed in water or brine, not oil. Versatile ingredient bridging micronutrient gap most pantries leave wide open. Number 6, whole wheat berries. For approximately 10,000 years, wheat has been single most relied upon food source in human history. Nomadic populations became settled communities because wheat could be stored. Cities became possible because wheat could be stockpiled and distributed. Armies sustained campaigns because wheat could be carried. Populations survived winters and multi-year droughts because wheat could be harvested and held. That isn't sentiment. It's 10,000-year record of demonstrated, tested reliability across every kind of crisis human populations faced. Stored in sealed containers with oxygen absorbers in cool, dry conditions, whole wheat berries hold quality and germination capacity for 25+ years. In basic sealed buckets, decade or longer. Among longest verified storage lives of any food product known. Culinary versatility unmatched by any ingredient on this list. Wheat can be cooked whole like heartier rice version, ground into flour with hand mill or improvised tools, and used making bread, flatbreads, crackers, pasta. Sprouted over 3 to 4 days, which dramatically increases vitamin C content and digestibility in way raw grain cannot provide. One ingredient across dozens distinct meal types across virtually every food culture in world. Nutritionally, whole wheat delivers complex carbohydrates for sustained energy, meaningful dietary fiber, moderate plant protein, range of B vitamins and minerals including iron, magnesium, zinc. Here's what ties entire list together. Every item above functions best when it has something to work with. Practical takeaway: 25 to 30 pounds minimum. Sealed containers, oxygen absorbers, cool dry storage. Number 5, duck fat or ghee. Gap at center of almost every beginner emergency food plan isn't protein, isn't calories. Fat. Most standard guides build almost entirely around carbohydrates. Rice, beans, oats, pasta. While carbohydrates essential, that approach quietly ignores macronutrient body urgently needs during sustained stress, physical exertion, restricted food supply. Fat is most calorie-dense macronutrient available. 1 gram delivers 9 calories, compared to 4 from carbohydrates or protein. Small amount provides disproportionately large amount of energy when rations limited. Beyond calories, fat supports brain function, hormone regulation, body temperature management, sustained energy output. Diet chronically deficient in fat produces fatigue, cognitive decline, disrupted hormone production. Real functional impairments in situation demanding clear thinking and physical capability. Duck fat is one of most practical stored fats for emergency pantry. Rendered animal fats hold quality significantly longer than most fresh oils when stored in sealed glass jars away from light and heat. Duck fat carries rich, savory flavor profile genuinely transforming plain food. Bowl of rice, pot of boiled vegetables, simple stew, into something that actually tastes like meal. This isn't new concept. Before refrigeration, European civilizations preserved meat by slowly cooking it in rendered fat and keeping it submerged, technique that worked reliably for centuries. Fat wasn't just cooking medium. It was preservation system. Practical takeaway: 2 jars duck fat or ghee minimum. Sealed glass containers, cool dark storage. Number 4, vinegar, white distilled. Vinegar sits at back of most kitchen cabinets almost completely ignored but has one defining characteristic placing it in category almost nothing else on this list can claim. Doesn't expire. Acetic acid concentration creates chemical environment inherently hostile to bacteria and fungi responsible for spoilage. Properly sealed bottle purchased today will be chemically identical and fully functional in 30 years. No other food on this list can make that statement without qualification. But shelf life isn't even most interesting part. Think about flavor profile of standard emergency food supply. Grains, legumes, starches, salt adds depth. Spices add aromatics. Fat adds richness. But there is one flavor dimension none of those provide. Brightness. Sharp, clean acidity making simple food feel complete rather than flat. Small amount vinegar added to vegetables, stirred into soup, or used as simple sauce base changes entire sensory experience of meal in way nothing else in pantry can replicate. Then there's preservation application most people never think about until they need it. When fresh vegetables become available during extended abundance, pickling extends that window dramatically. Without it, window closes fast. Practical takeaway: 2 to 3 bottles. White distilled for maximum versatility. Never needs rotating or replacing. Number 3, powdered milk, full fat. When refrigeration fails, fresh dairy becomes useless within hours. Powdered milk, properly stored, remains viable for years. Full-fat varieties maintain nutritional density better than non-fat options. Fat-soluble vitamins A and D better preserved in full-fat powder. Measured powder plus water produces liquid functioning equivalently to whole milk in most applications. Coffee becomes coffee again. Oatmeal takes on familiar consistency. Meals built entirely from shelf-stable goods retain something that feels recognizable. An environment where nearly every other sensory marker of normal life stripped away, that matters more than most expect. There's also nutritional case. Powdered milk provides calcium, phosphorus, vitamin D, nutrients supporting skeletal integrity and muscle function. Under sustained physical stress, declining calcium status builds slowly and compounds over days. You won't feel it immediately, but once it develops, recovery becomes progressively harder. Practical takeaway: 2 to 3 containers full-fat powder. Store with oxygen absorbers. Test before full reliance. Number 2, salt. Before refrigeration, before preservatives, before canning technology, there was salt. For most of recorded human history, ability to store food across seasons, sustain armies, feed cities through drought, depended almost entirely on salt access. Roman soldiers paid partially in it. Word salary derives directly from salt. Medieval trade routes organized themselves around salt production. Entire economies rose and fell on its supply. Today, it sits in shaker on dining table, so abundant nobody thinks about it. But its importance hasn't changed, only its scarcity has. In emergency food context, salt provides 3 distinct categories of value and most people only think about one. First is flavor. Salt is single most fundamental enhancer in cooking. Without it, every stored grain, every legume, every starch tastes flat and unappealing. Second is preservation. Salt inhibits bacterial and fungal growth through osmosis, drawing water out of microbial cells. Salt curing meat, fermenting vegetables in brine, ancient techniques with direct practical applications when refrigeration unavailable. Third, one most people never consider, is physiological necessity. Sodium is essential electrolyte. Regulates fluid balance, supports nerve signal transmission, critical for muscle function. During physical exertion, heat exposure, sustained stress, all common in genuine emergencies, sodium depletion becomes real medical concern. Adequate intake not optional. It's biological requirement, and storage characteristic nothing else on this list can match. Salt doesn't expire, doesn't degrade, doesn't lose potency. Sealed container purchased today will be chemically identical in 50 years, exactly equal, not approximately. Practical takeaway: store significantly more than you think you need. 5 to 10 pounds minimum. Seasoning, preservation agent, electrolyte source simultaneously. Only thing in entire pantry that will never once need replacing. Number 1, canned soup, ready to eat, not condensed. Every other item on this list solves specific problem, addresses specific gap. This one is what all of them are built around. After 48 to 72 hours serious disruption, human brain doesn't crash dramatically, slows down quietly. Decision fatigue sets in. Tasks that used to be automatic, including figuring out what to eat and how to prepare it, start to feel unreasonably heavy. At that point, people don't skip meals because they ran out of food. They skip meals because mental effort of preparing food is more than they're willing to spend. That specific problem canned soup solves. Not because it's most nutritious thing here, but because it eliminates every variable between you and meal. Open it, eat it. Done. But there's one distinction determining whether soup actually performs that function. Condensed soup still requires water. In water-restricted scenario, that one extra step makes it unreliable. Ready-to-eat formulations require nothing. Under real depletion, gap between 1 step and 0 steps is gap between eating and not eating. One more thing people get backwards: high sodium. Under normal conditions, that's nutritional criticism. Under crisis conditions, it's advantage. Stress and irregular eating accelerate electrolyte loss faster than most expect. That sodium helps maintain hydration balance and prevents early collapse, having nothing to do with running out of calories. Practical takeaway: 16 to 20 cans minimum. Ready-to-eat formulations only, never condensed. Test different varieties knowing what your family will accept. Conclusion: these 25 items aren't expensive. None require specialized knowledge or equipment. Nearly all available at any grocery store right now for very little money. What they share is something more specific: durability, versatility, ability to produce real meals from limited ingredients under difficult conditions. Gap between basic pantry and functional one isn't about quantity. It's about understanding which specific gaps actually exist. Fat alongside carbohydrates, flavor tools alongside base calories, fast preparation options alongside slow-cooked staples, micronutrient sources alongside base calories. Every item costs very little, takes up very little space, requires very little time to acquire. Only real question is which ones aren't in your pantry right now. Start this week. 3 items. Next week, 3 more. Within month, you've built something that actually functions. Not just pantry that looks prepared. pantry that works. Which 3 are you starting with? That's real question. Because knowing is different from doing. And doing is only thing that matters.